Okay, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the garage. Don't ask me what that was all about because I don't know. We're back finally for another live show. It's been a couple weeks. Been fighting a stomach bug that's really had me down. In fact, I didn't know if I was even going to make it tonight because it's been bad. Look, I got my 3D printer going so I can watch what's going on in the background. You guys can watch with me. Audio is low. Yeah, it does look a little low. Let me give it a bump. One notch. Is one notch enough? Nope. Two notch. Is this the right microphone? Yeah, I think we're good now. Oh, nobody had earphones on as I was banging on my microphone. What up, Chris? What up, Wendell? What's going on, guys? What is new? Hey, WS6 Handyman. What is new in the neighborhood? It is about 1,000 degrees in my office. I'm not going to lie. Oh, you know, I figured out why. There we go. I've had the vent closed. Hey, Ethan. I've had the vent closed during the winter time. Whenever the heater's going, it gets super hot in here because the heater's blowing. Well, now that we're getting into the summertime, I've got to open the vent back up so I get some cold air in here. Finally had the encounter with the Holly 7-inch dash not updating properly. Welcome to the club. If you haven't had a Holly device crash during updates, you will eventually. It's pretty par for the course. I've done a lot of wiring. And we are like 99% away from firing up the Camaro. In fact, I think I don't think I'm going to make it because June is flying by. It's the 19th already. Just because I've been kind of slacking on getting my drive shaft ordered, which, you know, isn't a big ordeal. It's not going to hold us back that much. But I think I've gotten most of the stuff sorted out on it. I got to do a video this weekend. And, yeah, I'm just working on cleaning things up, making things look good in the process. Where's crap that you have to use the USB to SD card adapter. Really? That's interesting. What up, TJ? So, yeah, I gotta work on getting the CAN bus set up this weekend. Get the turbo lambic talking to the core ECU so the transmission's ready to go. Transmission side of it seems fairly simple. I will do some videos on that. It looks super complicated. I'll admit it. Like whenever you open it up, it's in Tuner Pro, which if you haven't messed with Tuner Pro, it's old school, like old school, but a pretty awesome program for doing bins, opening bin files. But you have to have XDF definition files and stuff like that. And you get custom ones with the tuner or with the turbo lambic stuff. Obviously, the guys that created it wrote the program and set up all the definitions and stuff like that. Got to be smart. But at first glance, it's very overwhelming. But man, we're getting close to being done on this print. What up, Shane? Good to see you, brother. Look at you. I'm in the way. Let me get out of the way. Look at that thing go. Technology is amazing. This is live from the garage. We are printing Camaro car parts out that I scanned in and then designed in Fusion 360 myself, which means they probably won't fit. And that is carbon fiber impregnated PET. Z400, thanks, man. Welcome to the live show. if you got any questions for tuning, Thursday night is where it's at. As I said before you jumped on, I was sick last weekend. The weekend before that, I can't remember. I think we had something going on. But I was sick last Thursday. Been trying to have this every Thursday, but I've been failing lately. But just know, at some point in time, the live show will be on. On some Thursday, the live show will be on. Oh, man. Someone needs a laser 3D GM dashes for posterity. Seriously. Well, here's the thing, Shane, and we're not there yet. Large format 3D printers are starting to come out that are almost big enough to do an entire dash pad. Almost. In fact, there's some, if you're willing to spend $10,000. Now, I'm saying in 2 years' time, you will be able to buy a 3D printer large enough to do an entire dash pad for $2,000. I have a Creality Z1 Max, and I've been pretty happy with it. In fact, I'm really happy with the printer. The only thing I wish it had that it does not have is a chamber heater, because I've been trying to print with ASA, which is kind of the new. Guys don't really do ABS anymore. It's got all the upsides of ABS with fewer downsides. But man, that stuff warps. You've got to have a hotbed, a hot end. But I've had a lot of luck with this carbon fiber infused PET, which has a super high temperature. It prints at like 270 or 280 Celsius. And so I've been testing out a bunch of different stuff for interior parts, because, if it's 95 degrees outside, it's 130 inside a car. General stuff that, the cheap stuff will get soft. So I've been doing a lot of this in preps for doing my center console, which is going to be 3D printed. Dude, it's fun. So, and I originally said that I wasn't going to dive into modeling, but I did. And I found a YouTube channel. Even I watch YouTube to learn. This dude, super smart. It's Learn Everything About Design is what it's called. And in fact, I have got an interview with him tomorrow. I'm going to interview him, just a short interview talking about stuff, and then I'll post it up for you guys. So anybody that's interested in learning how to do modeling or something like that, I'll preface this. Chris, it's the Z1 Max. No, it's not going to be live. It's going to be recorded. It's just going to be like 10, 15 minutes talking about some basic stuff and getting into it. But watching this dude's videos, I now understand what new people who come to tuning experience whenever they watch my videos, and they're just like, "Oh my God, dude, you talk so fast. I have to go back and watch it 5 times to understand what you're saying." 1000% what's going on when I'm watching this dude, because I'm just like, wait a second, what button did he click? What's he doing now? Wait, I'm so lost. But it's been very interesting, because much like tuning, whenever you get into doing 3D models and stuff like that, there's more than one way to skin a cat. Which is a good and bad thing, because you might get down a road where suddenly you backed yourself into a corner, and the last hour and a half or 2 hours of work has completely hosed you because you can't do what you want to do, and you have to step back through the timeline and start over. But yeah, if you're a 3D printing company, manufacturer, filament manufacturer, anything like that, hi, my name is Kyle. Send me free stuff. I'm going broke buying this stuff. The stuff that I printed out here is $30 for half a kilogram. It's expensive. Okay, Z400, we got a question. I have a G35 V6 and would like to go standalone. Also like to future-proof. If I decide to sell it and get a V8, V10, etc. Any recommendations? Heard AM Infinity got bought. Okay, so yeah, as far as I know, AEM got bought. Holly bought AEM. The Infinity ECU line, I believe, was not a part of that deal. Hey, Mike, I believe the Infinity ECU line got bought by somebody else, and we'll probably never know who. So, future-proof, you're talking about a platform V6 G35, your best bet. And obviously you can't run a HP Tuner's core because that platform is not going to be supported for a while. But Max ECU is one that I like a lot. And it will do anything. And the support is really good with Max ECU. So that's probably one that I would lean towards. You bought one of the new AEMs. It had that fancy... it actually had AEM on it. So it's not even that funky one. Yeah, that learning curve, man. Well, and that's the thing is what's really cool and what's been interesting about it, especially over the last couple of years, is all the new ways of approaching things that are coming to light. The world is changing at a faster clip than it ever has. I love that fact of it. What makes you like the Max? I like the Max, the flexibility. Videos for support might be a little bit spotty on that, but I'll be honest with you, Z400, whenever you get to that tier of standalone and Max, the cool thing about them is they have multiple levels. They've got cheap up to race level expensive stuff. So you can, if you want, you can start at this tier, kind of like Fuel Tech. Fuel Tech does kind of the same thing where you can buy an FT450 and then upgrade to a 600 later. But the layout on Max matches a lot of the other big brands like Haltech and Motec and stuff like that. So I think they're a great standalone if you can't go core. I have been talking to, what up, Super Slow? Long time no see. Oh, Mike's got turbo diesel. Nice. Which turbo diesel did you get? I've been talking with the HP Tuners engineer support staff. And obviously I can't talk about everything. Some of the stuff's under NDA, but I'm really impressed by some of the things that are coming down the pipeline on the core. 34-foot RV. What am I printing? Great question. I am printing a piece that goes underneath the glove box that extends down to kind of hide some wiring and the AC, kind of a dress-up panel. And so I 3D scanned the glove box area and brought it into Fusion and then used that to design this piece. Hood horns. I still don't know what I want to do for my trans, man. Chris. 8HP70, let's go. Yeah, I'll do a video on it this weekend. Even if it doesn't turn out, I'll do a quick video going over the scan process and showing the design. I'm not going to do a video showing you how to design because I can't teach you that. That's not my job. It's all GeoPrism. But then hopefully it matches up. Like, no AL90s. No, you should. Okay, listen. If you're not buying a Power Glide or a Turbo 400, the only transmission you should get is an 8 HP, 70 or 90. Dude, Chris, I mean it's all but done. It is all but done. So I said I've just got to work on some of the communication stuff, but there's dudes running 900 foot-pounds of torque through a stock 8 HP 70, and they shift like 20 times faster than any GM transmission. That's what I hate about GM transmissions. They're the mechatronics in them is so slow. They feel, even after a tune and valve bodies and all that stuff, they just feel like, holy crap. I've never had my sorry. They shift like crap. Yeah, you just can't tune them. So I am 100% sold on the 8 HPs. The more I dig into it, the more I see people running them. And as I said, we're so late to the party. Like, dudes in Australia and Europe have been swapping these things and doing crazy stuff with them. We're just now catching up to them. I don't see a reason to put a 6L80 or an 8L80 in anything. And you're a damn fool if you try to put a 10L80. And 8HP, yeah, 8HP 70, 8HP 75, it is barely bigger than a Turbo 400. It is disgusting how small they are. So, it's fun. Fun stuff. Now, I'm using the Turbo Lamic. Yeah, the 10L80s are terrible. It's too many gears. At some point in time, you do get too many gears, and the thing just doesn't know what to do. Like, whenever it's trying to downshift, sometimes it can't make its mind up. Yes. Yes, it will be communicating with the core. It'll be getting all the values it needs for torque calculations from the core, stuff like that. I will have a lot more to talk about that, Chris, probably in the next month or so. Yeah, the way Dodge set up the shift schedule is yeah, too much hunting. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of the Turbo 400. I'm a big fan of well, and that's the thing. Yeah, it's basically a CVT. Um, I love manual transmissions because I'm not a huge transmission things. Jim, uh, you know what? I probably could if I posted it on HP Tuners and tagged them. It's just one of those things that at this point in time, if you're talking about HP Tuners, um, you Google HP Tuners, you search YouTube for HP Tuners, I come up. I've become synonymous with HP Tuners, so I don't even worry about that stuff anymore. Controlling the 9 HP with Fuel Tech and Sound German. Okay, I looked at the Sound German stuff, Don. Was very interested in that. Does now let me ask you, I can't remember because I looked at all the solutions. Was the Sound German a reflash of the stock TCU and then CAN bus communication? Kind of like the Max ECU setup for the 8 HP stuff, or basically, any of those? Okay, yeah. And I like the idea of bypassing the factory, and that's why I went with the Turbo Lamic. Now, mind you, I don't like those PCB boards that you have to solder in. I just don't like. There's some limitations that are still exist when using that factory TCM that you get around whenever you go over to the 8 HP or to the Turbo Lamic, where it's basically a full standalone TCU. So it's all the stuff that you want to do. It makes it easy. Trans brake, two-step, all that fun stuff. Yeah, that's the big issue on CVTs, and that's what you saw on the Corvette stuff and why they're killing all the Corvettes. Oh, okay. So Fuel Tech, it requires you to install the board. So they're doing direct solenoid control. That's what I think is the correct way of doing it. Not to say that the dudes that figured out reflashing the factory TCM in a way that makes it compatible with standalone ECUs isn't wicked smart. I mean, that's awesome. But woo. See the Justin White video going through a Derek Dunbar scan and tune. It was 2024 Cadillac CT5V Blackwing with plus 30% LTFTs and 1.3 AFR and wide open throttle. Prime example of somebody probably I did not. I'll go look it up. Is that the same Justin White from White Automotive? The guy that did the custom programming back in the day? Motor survived. That's impressive more than anything. There are some picadillos on the Blackwings. I've not tuned one, but I've talked to Brandon Lieb about it a few times. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So Don says the only thing about the Fuel Tech that I did not understand is how to purchase the Peak and Hold Pro to control the current on the solenoids. Because the solenoids are require enough current that the direct outputs, everything on the Fuel Techs are low amperage, so you can't run any high impedance stuff. Same with the injectors. And in fact, I've got one of those boxes sitting on the shelf, and I don't even remember what in the heck I bought it for. Whenever I ran the Fuel Tech in the Typhoon, and maybe I was just confused whenever I was speccing everything out, but I do have one of those Peak and Hold boxes. Man, it is hot. See the sweat starting to glisten up here? Built 416 with the 2650. I'm just interested to see what the tune looks like, Schmidt, and whether or not it was properly tuned in neural network or not. But as I said, there's some funky stuff on those Blackwings that seem to be a Blackwing only situation, which may carry over to the ZR1s. I mean, not that any of us are going to have a problem with it. Like, okay, it wasn't. That's what I assumed. They tried to fudge it, and lucky it didn't toast a motor. You just can't. Like, it is that right now. I don't want to say that it is 1,000% necessary to do neural network tuning on these Global B setups, because I have gotten one to run in math only. Oklahoma's going, hey man, I've gotten used to Pennsylvania. Tuned in. We gotta start thinking of new names, don't we? Tuned in with JWT. It's such a White Automotive and Media. Whams. I don't know if this is the same guy. I'm wondering if it is. But I don't know that this dude ever did tuning. Okay, I'll look it up this weekend and watch it. Because there's another, it's either Jason or Justin White. I can't remember. White, Jason White Whams. Must be Justin White at Whams. Okay. Yeah, I think it's Justin White that does Whams. Sorry, got off topic there. Hey, Demon, good to see you, my man. Okay, brother. Be careful, TJ. Stay tuned. It's coming soon. Very, very soon. Oh, that's all right. That's all right. In fact, I'll just drop this guy a subscribe. I'll just go ahead and subscribe to this guy. Yeah, I'll be interested to watch some of his stuff. Maybe I'll learn something. I love learning. I'm looking for the one videos using the fuel pump to empty the tank. That's a great topic. If you have an NOx fuel system, you should be aware of this problem. Spend some time in Tokyo. Fun. New tables added to HP tuners. I did notice that some new tables got added, but I didn't dig into them. On the Global B stuff. It's good to see more people putting out tuning content. It means I might get to a point where I can retire. Any thoughts HP tuners versus max tuners? Okay, so right now it said HP tuners, their standalone is going to be LS only, 3rd and 4th gen. That's not to say it will support basically anything. Eventually, it just has to be written into the software. The software is still being kind of sorted out. So if you're not in a hurry, give it 6 months and then see where it's at that point in time. Make a decision then. I'll have more content out on it, and you can kind of do a better comparison. The problem is right now there's not enough information out there, and I'm working my butt off at a slow pace to get some information out there, so people can start making informed decisions. Because I happen to know, even though nobody's talking about it, and I don't think I'm breaking any rules by saying that, the core ECU will compete with any other standalone out there. You could run a rotary, you can run 4-cylinder, you can run a V6. Where it becomes the issue is setting up things like different crank and cam triggers, and they've got to test all that stuff out and make sure that it all works properly before they can release it for public consumption. I've not talked to them about this whatsoever, so this speculation, stand by, Kamar, this is all speculation on my part. They are probably working on that diligently. I know they've got a lot on their plate trying to get this thing out as possible. Now, Chris, yeah, I did the TurboLamic CAN kit, and then watched the video I did a week or two ago about the connector. Did I do the video on the connector for the shifter if you use the Dodge shifter? Because those things are impossible to find. It took me a while to find one of those. He's pretty respected in the CTSV world. That's what it is. That's where I've heard his name before. Demon. Does LT engine love? Yes, LTs love leaner than LSs. Generally, if I'm running an LS at 0.83 or so, I start at 0.85 with an LT. Kamar, what happened? How'd your core ECU die? Any problems raising shift points on a 6L80 past 7,000 RPMs? Bob, I don't see any issues. Schmidt, I've got AC, just it's not blowing, it's not on because the rest of the house is 5 degrees cooler in here. Kamar, I want to know, A, what happened to kill your core, and B, what has HP Tuners done about it? Do you typically have the ECU as standardized and make wiring harness adapters, make them work with whatever platform you want in theory? So, okay, a lot of that is yes. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by Kamar here. Stopped activating the fuel pump. I mean, did you? Okay, I don't want to go down the trouble. Have they sent you down the troubleshooting path already? Because there's so many things involved on the fuel pump circuit on those things. So like injector drivers and timing, like your ignition drivers for your change fuel pump up. See, that's okay. Stand by, Kamar. Give me a second. Let me answer Z4Rs. So injector drivers and spark, those things are generally going to be set regardless. So the things that will change are going to be your firing order, determining which order they trigger those in. And then, as I said, the big stuff is going to be your cam and crank sensors. So you can do sequential, injection and ignition. And the cool thing about it is that's pretty much the same unless you're going from a piston to a rotary style setup. So you change the fuel pump output channel to a different channel, and that didn't work, Kamar. And the relay in the fuse box, the little stuff, did you take that thing out and test it to make sure that, you were getting the signal to the pin for the relay? Okay, so the relay was good. Obviously, you checked the fuse. I'm not going to pretend you're an idiot. I'm not an IT. Did you turn it off and turn it back on? See you, super slow. Have a good one. Okay. And they had you change the pins, and that didn't work. That's interesting. Keep me posted on that. Let me know what you find out, or what, I mean, at some point in time, okay, did a diode test and it failed. So are they having you return the unit, or have they said yet? Yep. Okay. Okay. Are you, Kamar, are you stateside? Or are you international? They are sending you a loaner. Okay. That's what I was wanting to hear. Dude, where are you at in Pennsylvania? Are you like literally down the road from me? Oh my God, you're not even down the road from me, are you? Let me look at my map. Oh my goodness. Okay, you are down the road. We have an office in Williamsport. I haven't been there in forever. I used to go to Williamsport like 5 or 6 times a year. Yep. Yep. That's so funny. I used to stay at the hotel that's next to the Burger King. How's it going, Mr. Goat? Hey, Thomas West. I've had the Gen 3 heavy knock at 80 kPa at 4,000. It says 8. Now, I'm from Oklahoma, Z400, but I relocated up here a few years ago. Dude, if I ever get it back up Williamsport Way, I'll give you a holler. We'll have to get together and grab a beer or something. Is it false knock? Okay, so that's what I was going to suggest, Thomas. So if you pulled a couple degrees out and it has not changed, if it stays 8, that is false knock. That's what you do. Go in that area on your high spark table, back it off 2 degrees and see if it comes out. Okay. And if you're not, then you need to desensitize your, okay. You got false knock. My thoughts on Haltech Rebel LS. I think that the Haltech Rebel LS, whenever they came out with that, the first words that came out of my mouth is, if you buy a Terminator now, you're an absolute idiot. As long as the Haltech Rebel LS is still in stock. Holley is a speed parts company that has their toes in too many pools to do any one thing well at this point in time, specifically EFI. I think they suck at EFI. I think Haltech, that's all they do. I think they have great equipment out there. And in fact, back before the Core came out, I had a buddy who was doing a C10, and he called up and said, "Hey, I need a standalone for this thing. What would you suggest?" And I said, honestly, right now, the only thing I'd look at is a Haltech Rebel. Well, it's don't get me started on that. Why have misfire on my LT engine on idle? If you got misfired, man, you got only at idle, because that's normally you don't see it at idle. Normally you see it, but you need to check plugs, wires, coils. That's 99% of your misfire issues are one of those things. What do you think about the ZR1X? What is this, the Zora? Is this what they're calling the Zora now? Is this the hybrid? Okay, so it's the hybrid ZR1. But I mean, it's the thing does 0 to 60 in under 2 seconds. How many other cars do that? $1,250 out of the box. That is ridiculous with a warranty. 1,250 horsepower with a warranty. Do we have an MSRP? Whoo! Whoo! $250,000. $250,000. Just replaced coil backs to MSD and cured misfire after running for over an hour. Man, I'm a sucker for those MSD coils. Don't ask me why. I think they look so good. I know, twin turbo flat plane crank, but not for $250,000. At the end of the day, it's a Corvette. So the only people that are going to know that you've got the $250,000 one and not the $65,000 one are petrol heads. You're not impressing everybody else. Yep. Yeah, Demon. Since you have straight gas, no ethanol, 14.6 be perfect. Found out the collector leaky, and I think it's pinpoint sound of the engine. Think it's not. Yep. It will 100. Honestly, it sounds more like lifter tick. Guys with New Balance shoes and jorts. Exactly. $250,000. Whew. 1,250 horsepower all-wheel drive. Most expensive Corvette ever produced by almost double. Here's my thing. And I'll say this. And this is all CH. Doesn't matter how crazy it is. Base, Z06, ZR1, ZR1X. They are huge. They are huge. And to really understand how big they are, you have to put them next to a Lamborghini. Put them next to something like a Huracan, and the proportions start looking funky. They look great on their own, but whenever they're next to other exotics, they just don't look right. Flat plane sounds nothing like any other Corvette. Yeah. So they are coming out with a flat plane crank crate engine, I heard. But that's not an issue. My buddy who drives a Huracan brings his... Oh, well, I guess he puts his golf clubs in the passenger seat now that you mention it, Jim. How can I make a ghost cam on an LT engine? There's videos out there for doing it. Is it harmful? No. It's a lot less harmful than doing something like a pops and bangs. Thanks, Thomas. Listen, guys, it is 8:27. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up. I started early. I mean, it's said, if you can see, let's see, hold on. Before I do this, let's see if I can find a C8 next to Lamborghini. Let's look at these images. And it's got to be the right angle so you can see exactly how ridiculously big the Corvette is. Because all of these images, like they've got them in two separate pictures and they're scaled to like the same thing. Like the C8s are ginormous for this category. And hell, even whenever I had my my Viper, which looks huge, it is surprisingly small. As I said, the Viper's about the size of a Porsche 911, you know, which always blew my mind. Almost looks smaller than a 911. Come on, there's no good pictures of this. You need one in front of the other. Give you a good idea of scale. But yeah, if you get a chance to see something like a Ferrari or a Lamborghini or a McLaren next to a C8, you will be blown away with how huge the C8 is versus its European counterparts. And that's fine whenever you're only charging, you know, $70,000 to $130,000 for one. But once you ratchet the price up to $250,000, I don't know that it's worth the money, because at the end of the day, it's still a Corvette. It doesn't matter how fast it goes. It doesn't matter how much it costs. A Corvette will never be an exotic. It'll only be a supercar. So, and of course, they could make $1 million Corvette and it wouldn't be a hypercar. You know, it's just, it doesn't fit in that segment. Doesn't matter if it can compete. Yeah, it is a Corvette. And that's the truth. The only time we'll see a ZR1X is when some dude wrecks it leaving Cars and Coffee. Yeah, you can't wash off the fact that it's a Corvette. That's the same reason I got rid of the Shelby GT350. I love that Voodoo motor, but at the end of the day, it was still a Mustang, and I just couldn't drive it. I couldn't be seen in a Mustang. I couldn't respect myself while driving a Mustang. If there's any Mustang owners in here, I apologize. It is a brilliant car. It is truly a brilliant car. And what's the new one, the GTD or whatever? Like, same ordeal. It's a $250,000 Mustang. It doesn't matter what it does. At the end of the day, it's still a Mustang. Okay, guys, you know the drill. Thanks for stopping by. Look, my print's almost done. It's almost done. There's the mounting holes. Those are holes that exist underneath the dash that I use to model. Okay, I'm getting out of here. You guys know the drill. Thanks for stopping by the garage. Remember, APT, always be tuning.